It's official, Caitlin Clark is out, and story behind her injury is somehow more confusing, frustrating, and potentially damaging than anyone expected. What started as a minor groin strain has snowballed into a month-long mystery that now has fans, media insiders, and even former players questioning what's really going on behind the scenes. And just 2 minutes ago, okay, maybe not literally, but close enough, a new twist dropped from a fever team doctor that's thrown gas on the fire. Caitlin may not be coming back anytime soon. In fact, the possibility of her being out permanently this season not off the table. Let's break this down, because the whole situation is giving. We're not telling you the full story, and the timeline makes less sense than a post-game quote from a coach. Try and save face if you're here for the real story and not to filter version. Subscribe, and if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe. It all began a little over a month ago, and Caitlin Clark was ruled out what was described as a mild groin strain. Okay, nothing alarming. These things happen, especially when you're a rookie logging heavy minutes, getting double-teamed nightly, and being physically targeted in half your matchups. At first, she was listed as day-to-day. Fans figured she'd wrestle a game or two and be back in court business as usual, but then she didn't come back. One game turned into 3, then 5, then 8, and suddenly day-to-day turned into week-to-week without anyone really explaining the shift. No video of her rehabbing, no official medical updates, just vague coaching statements like she's progressing and we're optimistic. Translation: we have no clue, or worse, we do, and we're not saying. Then came the contradictions. One report claimed Caitlin was sprinting court, another just days later said she hadn't even participated in a full practice. How you doing sprints but not practicing? That's when fans started feel it, the gap between what was being said and what was actually happening widening by the day. It didn't help that some outlet began hinting that a return was right around the corner, right before she was ruled out for yet another game and yet another. Meanwhile, those expensive tickets sold for full arenas under the hope, the assumption that Caitlin Clark would be back any minute now. Coincidence or cash grab? Let's be real, the WNBA has never seen anything like Caitlin Clark's packed. We're talking sold-out arenas, primetime coverage, triple the merge sales. Her name alone has valued every game she's connected to, and without her on the court, the shine dims fast. So if there was even a hint that someone in a fever organization was stretching the truth, or worse, username to sell tickets while knowing she wasn't close returning, that would be a mask candle. And right now is not looking great, because here's where it gets truly bizarre. Behind the scenes, sources close to the team started leaking tidbits that Caitlin injury might be worse than originally disclosed. Words like lingering, delicate, and chronic started floating around, and the fear that is not just a groin strain, it's a potential long-term issue that could fall over to the season or even beyond. Then the team doctor finally spoke up, and what was said not reassuring. Instead of confirming a timeline, the doctor admitted that her recovery has hit some complications and that long-term rest may be required to avoid re-injury. In other words, not only is she not ready, she might not be back at all this season. And let's pause there, because if that's the case, what the hell have we been watching for the last month? Why the conflicting messages? Why the vague interviews? The hopeful headlines? The we'll see answers from coaches who clearly knew more than they were saying. If Caitlin, the injury was always more serious and the public was led to believe, then this isn't just a case of unfortunate bad luck. This is mishandling over health, her reputation, and the trust of an entire fan base. And let's not ignore the risk it puts on her, because if Caitlin comes back too early, if she's pressured even subtly to return before she's ready, is not just about re-injury, it's about the possibility of permanent damage. Groin injuries are no joke, especially in high-impact sports. Rushing doesn't just cause a few extra games, it could derail or entire rookie season, or worse, set her back years. So there's even a whisper pressure from inside a fever organization or from the league itself to get her back in time for playoff. That's not just irresponsible, that's reckless. And the pressure is definitely there because the Fever are teetering on a playoff spot barely, and without Caitlyn the odds are pretty with her ticket sales spike, TV ratings climb, and that playoff hope suddenly becomes marketable. But at what cost? Let's talk about the psychological impact too. You think Caitlin Clark doesn't want to be out there. You think the most imperative-driven, relentlessly focused rookie in the league is just chilling on a bench because you like skater breaks. This is killing her every game. She misses every headline about her uncertain timeline. Every time her teammates get asked about her status and still their own play, it chips away at her momentum and her presence, at the sense that she's a central force in this franchise's rebuild. And it's not just her. This situation is slowly becoming the storyline around the WNBA, and is not the kind of attention the league wants. Because when the most talked about player in your league disappears under a cloud of bad injury communication and shady PR spin, the message it sends loud and clear: you can be the golden child, the face of the new era, the one who finally brought in the crowds. But when it comes to your health, transparency is option. No, protection is questionable, and your future, it's a marketing tool. Let that sink in. What's worse is a silence from her reps, her management, sponsors, everyone just as vague. No statements clarifying anything, no insight into the plan, just quiet repos. A Fever game highlights and Nike ad campaigns like nothing's wrong. But something is wrong, because when a player's career starts to feel like a plot device, when an injury becomes a mystery box contradictions, it doesn't just hurt Caitlyn, it damages trust between the league and its fans, between the team and its supporters, and most importantly, between Caitlyn and the organization that's supposed to protect her. And yes, we need to talk about how this could impact her future with the Fever, because say it with me now. If the franchise can protect her now, what makes us think they will later? She's a generational star. She could take her talents anywhere. And if this first-year experience ends with her sideline mishandled and fed the media wolves, she'll remember that hurt team, or remember that and future free agents. Oh, they'll definitely remember that this isn't just about a groin strain anymore. This is about trust, about how league handles it. Biggest asset, about whether a player can believe what her coaches, doctors, and front office are telling her right now. That belief is shaky at best because of Caitlin Clark's out Parmalee season, and that's like a more likely by hour. Won't just be a loss for Indiana. It'll be a cautionary tale for the entire WNBA, and it's already been written in real time. Alright, so now that the she's out indefinitely, whispers have turned into full-blown rumblings of a permanent shutdown. Let's talk about something no one really want to say out loud. Worth his whole thing was avoidable. Let's be honest, Caitlin Clark wasn't as alright coming into the league. She was overplayed, overexposed, and overused from day one. The second she signed a rookie contract, she became the WNBA walking billboard, and the Fever, oh, they can cash in on it. 40 minutes a night, no load management, constant national press, every appear and scheduled to the minute commercials, press junkets, back-to-backs, and somehow we're shocked at her body eventually hit a wall. This wasn't as a rookie season. This was a media circus disguised as a bath football schedule, and her groin gave out. But who wouldn't under all that pressure? And don't think this is just about minutes on the court. It's also what was happening off the court that added to the strain. The weight of carrying an entire league's marketing campaign on your back is not just exhausting, it's unsustainable. One week, she fly across the country for an ESPN sit-down. The next, she's a centerpiece of photo shoot that takes all day. Then she'd back on the court expected to drop 25. While being hacked like she's in the Hunger Games and still smile. In the post-game press, her no wonder a body said, "Girl, sit down." And now she's sitting, but not by choice, and the damage isn't just physical, it's reputation, or let's talk perception, because with every passing day of silence and misdirection, Caitlin Clark is going on the face of the lead to the face of why is nobody telling us the truth. Thing about it, fans who bought tickets months in advance on the promise of seeing Caitlyn play are showing up to arenas and seeing a bench wrap figure in a hoodie, and they're mad. They should be. This isn't just about entertainment. About honesty. Where's the update? Where's the clarity? Where's the respect for the people investing time and money into this lead? And even worse, where's a respect for it? Because right now, does radio silence isn't protecting Caitlyn. It's hurting her. When people don't get answers, they make up their own, and that's exactly what happening. Wild theories are flooding social media. Everything from she's secretly planning to leave Indiana to the WNBA is covering up a career-ending injury. And guess what? When there's no truth, any narrative can take hold. The league had the chance to control the message. They didn't. So now the message is chaos. And we haven't even scratched the surface on how this could affect her brand, because while Nike and Gatorade are still running campaigns with her name, they've also been suspiciously cry about her health. No, we support Caitlyn during the recovery. No, we stand behind our athlete. Just ghost town. That's the dark side of Ben Face. When things are good, everyone wants a piece. When things turn murky, you're on your own. And now Caitlyn has loved the brand. It's everywhere, and a body that isn't cooperating. The dissonance is becoming deafening. Now, let's talk about what happens if she shut down for the seas, and which, let's be real, is the only logical move at this point, because Russia back for a few meaningless games or desperate playoff push isn't just stupid, it's career sabotage. But the optics of shutting down, oh, their minefield for the Fever. It's a PR disaster. This was supposed to be the Cinderella season. Ticket sales were up, jerseys flying off the shelves, national relevance for the first time in forever, and now it's turning into a cautionary tale about overplaying your golden goose for the league. It's even worse. Caitlyn Clark was a WNBA foot in the door. Ratings bomb, the casual fan converter. And now the biggest story in sport is an injury scandal they don't seem capable of managing. It's giving we weren't ready for this level of attention, which is wild because they literally ask for it. They build an entire marketing strategy around her. Leaned in, went all in and acted shocked when she broke under the weight. So where do we go from here? If Caitlyn's out, truly out for the rest of season, a few things have happened, or this situation caused damage that lingers. Will pass a single injury. First, transparency. The Fever needed in front of Mike can explain clearly in specifically what happened, what the timeline is, and what the plan is. No more chief progressing, no more she's in good spirits. We want facts, diagnosis, recovery protocol, timetable, something. Second, ownership from the lead, the WNBA. A nice acknowledge how poorly the situation been handled, and more importantly, what changes are made so this never happens again. Rookies should be protected, so DAR should be managed. Players should be prioritized, not marketed into ground and toss aside when things go sideways. Third, support for Caitlyn, not just a tweet, not just a highlight reel. We're talking real visible backing. Bring her into commentary. If she's sidelined, make her part of the coverage. Keep her face out there on her terms. Let her speak directly to fans, not to a sanitized team statement. Let her control her story again, because right now it's being written without her. And fourth, accountability for the coaching staff and front office. If it comes out that Caitlyn Clark was encouraged, either acts pleasantly or implicitly, to play through early symptoms, that a fireball offense. If he downplayed her condition to keep us going, that's a reputation killer. And if they lied about our timeline to juice ticket sales, that's malpractice. This isn't just about one player anymore. This is about the standard being set for how the league handles injury, star power, and player well-being. And let's be brutally honest, it does happen to a male athlete. You'd have 12 reporters live tweeting the rehab process. You have team statements every 3 days. You'd have doctors giving full medical breakdowns and entire España and segment title. What's next for the franchise? But here we give a quote, added sound bites and silence. Caitlyn Clark deserved better. She's given this league everything: her name, her health, her time, her energy. And now when she needs clarity, support, and protection, she's being treated like a press release waiting to happen. And it's not just disappointing, it's infuriating, because this is the part where the narrative could have shifted with the league, and her team could have said, we made mistakes, we're protecting her now, we're thinking long term. They could have made it a redemption arc, but instead they're dragging us out one cryptic injury update time and hoping we all just forget. Spoiler, we won't. Caitlyn Clark's injury isn't just a setback, it's a spotlight. And what is exposing is a league still figuring out how to treat its biggest stars. And until someone steps up and tells the truth, the damage will keep piling up. And now we have to address the elephant that everyone's dancing around, but no one's really confronting. What if Caitlin Clark is quietly planning her exit? No, National League entirely, but from Indiana, because if you step back for us. Second, and really taken away to injury, has been handled from the foggy timelines that a lack of player-first messaging. It feels like the kind of situation that makes a superstar start thinking ahead, the kind of slow-burning disaster that plants a little seed. Maybe this is where I want to spend my prime, and honestly, who would blame her? Caitlin came into the league as the most hyped rookie the WNBA has ever seen. She didn't ask for the circus, but she walked into it with grace, and in return, what did she get? No protection, no consistent coaching, no unified locker room, and now, no clarity on a medical issue that directly impacts her future. Let's not forget her contract isn't a lifetime deal. This isn't college anymore. This is a pro level. And when a rookie contract ends, she has options. She can move to a team with infrastructure or a coaching staff that protect his players and media. Team that knows how to and crisis PR, a medical team that doesn't let a groin strain turn into a full-on disappearance. Teams are already circling, watching this disaster unfold in real time, like, oh, she's gonna remember everything. And if we're being honest, there's a growing sense that the Fever were simply not ready for what Caitlin brought with her. They were hoping for star. What they got was a movement, and movements, they need structure, stability, strategy. Instead, India has been handing out vibes and guesswork. Even the coaching strategy before the injury was sketchy at best. They are Caitlin out there running decoy plays, stuck in corners, barely being utilized as offensive weapon. She is, you got a once-in-a-generation score, and you're not even building the offense around her. It was already giving wasted potential, and that was before she was sitting on the bench wrapped in ice packs. And don't. The players' union isn't watching. All doesn't fold. Because they are, because Caitlin's situation is about to become a case study in what not to do with star athletes in this league. The second a medical mishandling or behind-the-scenes coercion leaks, every player in the league is gonna be on high alert. If this can happen to Caitlin Clark, Mark, what about everyone else in the media? Oh, the media is loving the chaos. But they're also storing a question. Things go beyond just the injury. Is Caitlin agency and all this where wraps her team, her people advocating loudly on her behalf? Because right now, it feels like she's being handled by people who are more interested in protecting optics than protecting her body. Let's not forget how we got here. It didn't start with the injury. It started a moment she was thrown into the fire, game after game, physically targeted body by veterans. Hacked, grab, undercut, the officials swallow their whistles. The league let it happen, the team that to happen, and now, or surprise, her body broke down. This wasn't some fluke accident in practice. This was a result of months of overuse, underprotection, and hyper-exposure. And it's been brewing from the beginning. Remember that game when she took a brutal hip check and stayed down longer than usual? Everyone held their breath. But she popped back up, smiled, and kept playing. That should have been a red flag. That was the body's first warning shot. But it got ignored because the lead needed her, the team needed her, the cameras needed her, and now, here we are, a sideline superstar, a fan base growing restless, a media storm that only intensifies with each game she misses, and a team still fumbling every chance to get ahead of the narrative. At this point, even Caitlin teammates seemed unsure what's going on, and it shows. The post-game called better have gone from she's due and great, can't wait to have her back, to vague throwaway lines like she's working, do some stuff, and we're focused on who's here. The shift, not subtle. It almost feels like they've started emotionally moving on in coast to stop talking about her altogether. And you know what that signals? Detachment, disconnection, distance. Not exactly what you wanted to in a team and their franchise player. And let's be honest, Caitlin I as the franchise, without her this team goes back to being a bottom tier overlook. squad before she arrived. Their attendance numbers were pitiful, their national relevance was zero. Now they're leading highlight reels, getting primetime games, and trending on social media daily, even while she's injured. So how are they showing their gratitude? By letting her sit on the bench for the vague. Dad is have not yet practicing with no real communication plan, with silence so loud it's darn echo. Here's a question: has anyone from the team even come out and said definitively she's not being rushed, we're prioritizing her long-term health, or anything else? No, didn't think so. And if you're Caitlyn, you're watching it unfold and realizing something terrifying. Your most valuable player in room, and still somehow not protected. And now we have to consider the mental toll. Because when you're an athlete, injuries are already hard, but when the public turns your recovery into a guessing game, when fans are getting annoyed that you're not toughing it out, whenever he headlines speculate about your pain like it a marketing variable that messes with you, she's not just rehabbing groin, she's managing a psychological minefield: expectations, disappointment, pressure, the cancer reminder that your body is betraying you at the worst possible time. And this is where the damage goes deep, because even when she does come back, if she comes back to season, there will be hesitation, distrust, a little voice in the bag or head whispering, what if they're not telling me everything again? That's what happens when teams don't communicate. That's what happens.